Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to a scene for the Living World of Darkness, rage across New York. And we are setting this scene Umberside because I fucking can and never do. And there, within the Umbra, is a 10 point. Not really a rare thing. You think about it, what with her being a Theurge and all. The weird thing here is that she's not like scrambling to do something important. She's not at a shrine. She's not tending the spirits per se, tending the lands. She's just bouncing? That seems like a good word for it. She's taking a good look around before taking to playing with some of the rabbit spirits, probably. Completely lighthearted stuff. She kind of springs into the air, bouncing after them. They, of course, are never caught underfoot because they're too good for that. They're too good for her shit. So she is probably in one of the smaller field areas, good tall grass, so that one might miss it if they glance too quickly. But then from within the grass springs this ridiculous kind of rusty-coated wolf with the antlers springing up above the top of the fucking grass and then plunging back in.
Eventually, as she's doing this, the lupus form of Aiden Lynch will be padding along the Umbra and will eventually spot a rusted grey wolf with antlers pop out of the bushes, and he will immediately kind of fur and will stare quite confused at first, and will realize who that rustic wolf is, and will immediately relax up to Hamid and will roll a certain gift of his. Or the Milky Eye. Fails, doesn't work yet, and he'll try it again in a few minutes. As he's kind of walking quite stealthily, so I'll roll some dex stealth for this bad boy. With 4.
I am perfectly intent on having her keen on these rabbit spirits that she's springing after. And yeah, completely oblivious, especially with 4 dice. Or 4 successes, I should say.
Another roll for his blur, just to make sure this happens. There you go. So he begins to move quickly. We'll kind of stare almost at 10 point, watching her for the longest time.
Oh yeah, she sometimes it's a series of small bounds as she tries to kind of pounce after one of them. Of course, always, being evaded, even if sometimes a little more closely than others. And other times she'll pause and be looking sharply this way, that way at the rabbits that are like slipping around in the grass. And, she'll look this way, look that way, ears twitching, tail kind of lofting for a second before impulsively springing in one direction. So sometimes she's in a good bit of motion, and every so often she pauses to kind of pick a target.
And he will then activate another gift, which he gets fucking full successes on. And he will ready himself, do the little, the wolf little scoot, in Hamid form, which probably looks hilarious, and waits for her to jump midair, and then will, with his hair's leap in midair. So he catches one of the rabbits just at the same time she does, colliding with her probably.
Yeah, she, springs after this rabbit spirit, and, she's good-natured about it. She really doesn't intend to catch it, but it's a game of keep away. In theory, it's good for her reflexes. But her reflexes do not prepare her for such things as Aiden suddenly appearing under her, grinning like a maniac with a rabbit spirit snagged up in his hands. So midair, she goes from that graceful kind of doe-like boing to eyes shooting open and flailing paws, and completely botches the landing, as it were. Not literally, but yeah, just kind of face plants it
Because this is hilarious, Aiden's going to attempt to do something a bit ballsy. So here's the Daredevil mare kicking in. Jesus. Okay. With 3 successes, he will literally triple front flip and land, holding onto the rabbit. You know, midair, does this very perfect little ballerina spin and lands, you know? Like turns and looks at her like, yeah, you know?
And she doesn't know what to make of this. So, yeah, she goes about picking herself up off the dirt, giving her head a bit of a shake. Tilts her head slowly because, well, that was artful as fuck.
It's just like, you know, lets the rabbit spirit down very gently, you know, look over at her. I haven't done that in a while.
Say what?
I haven't done that in a while.
And she goes ahead and kind of hunkers down, tilting her head up into the side, but nonetheless her maw kind of gapes into a more relaxed, kind of pleased expression. You are much better at this game than I am, Raya.
I just know how to jump around, that's all. Grin at her. You can tell he actually really enjoyed doing that.
Oh, he'll find that the rabbit spirits that she's been playing with are probably like surging past his feet, periodically trying to taunt him into more of the same game. They're doing the same thing to her. Like skimming close enough to kind of prick up the senses and get one keyed in on it. It's like, pray, it's right. But yeah, they're having a good old time.
Well, do you have a competition then, 10 point?
She glances around herself and tentatively nods.
Right then. Best 2 out of 3. Best 2 out of 3. And wink, you know. I'll stay in Hamid then to make it fair on you.
There's kind of a bashful expression, but hey, she appreciates him evening the field a bit. And she'll start kind of casting her eyes around, looking for her next little target. What shall we set as the difficulty to snag one of them?
I have no idea.
I guess we'll do like Dex Athletics.
Yeah, fuck
And
it.
say you need at least like 2 or 3 successes to actually snag one.
That'll do.
And yeah. Yeah, there you go. Damn.
Aiden will surge up into the air, you know, after one, you know, flying around the place, bouncing. Because hair sleep is a wonderful thing.
It is, it is. Oh shit! She snags the hell out of that bunny. Maybe it's the adding an air of competition to it, but yeah. She very she does another one of those ridiculous springs and then actually manages to come up with a bunny very like gently, very tender maw snagged up in her muzzle.
He'll look at her grinning. All right, that's just too easy. I want you to try catch one mid-leap. We'll aim for that one. That's more of a challenge. And a wink.
And she gives her head a little tilt to either side. I'm like, oh, okay. And very gingerly, much like Aiden did, goes ahead and lets the bun back down to scamper off. Or kind of licking at it to make sure it's all good. No harm, no foul, buddy.
Because Aiden is
Should we crank the difficulty?
Yeah, he's going to crank the difficulty and be ballsy. Because, of course. that damn nature of his.
So still at least 2 successes and then like crank it to defeat?
Yes. And I will add my Daredevil dice because Aiden is going to try fucking somersault and catch one. Because of course. Wow.
Jesus.
Still get it.
This time no.
So she'll see Aiden literally somersaulting in the air and he just catches one perfectly and just lands, you know, rolling.
Yep, she gets down and does like A little bit of the, not quite the butt wiggle, but you get the idea. Kind of gets all set, gets all coiled up, goes after one midair. It instead kind of uses her muzzle as a springboard and continues.
Yeah, that somersault probably looks nuts with Hairsley because he's like accelerating in the air.
He's like launching halfway across the field. 10 points just like boink.
Yeah, he'll look over at her, holding the rabbit spirit very gently, and he'll kind of lay it down and smile at her, putting his hands in his pockets. You know, walking over very casually. You need to get your flexibility up to mine.
I do try, Raya.
This is my favorite game we used to play when we were little, back home when we were cubs. He'd actually grin at her quite broadly, you know, do that big bashful smile of his, and make him give.
She dares to pick her tail up the slightest bit, kind of with a tentative flicking sway going on. Because oh my god, he's in a good mood. This never happens.
Yeah, he'll kind of walk by and look over at her. So, you'd kind of like, you know, be walking casually, like eyeing up another bunny spirit, and look over at her. How have you been doing?
She begins to turn to follow, but realizes his eyes are kind of darting. And instead turns to look towards the next little section where you got a couple of the bunnies popping up, just enough for their ears to poke over the grass, just to be taunting. It's very productive, Raya.
Oh, as he'll take a charge, like surging forward. Let's roll this. And he barely catches it because it kind of goes like, oh, and then like that's out of the way, but he barely catches the hand to it. I'm looking over there.
2 successes, though. Neener.
Neener.
So close, but so far. Let me up my difficulty again because it's got to be midair. Ah!
Yeah, so he barely slips out of his hand and he looks over at her, smiling.
Yep. And she'll again, this time midair. And oh god, does she gum like gentle maws the hell out of it, but manages to kind of mouth one mid little bunny hop.
Bling, 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 bling. Yeah. He'll smirk over at her.
The tail's wagging a tad more now.
So, what have you been doing then?
She'll take the second, gingerly put the bunny down. Talking, Raya, listening. Tending to my
What have you heard? What have you heard then? You know, as he seems to stretch out a bit more, like looking over at the bunny, like, I'm going to get you, motherfucker. You know?
And she'll plop her flanks down for the moment. Most of it you've heard, Raya, speaking to members of the other packs. Offering my services, offering my condolences, offering whatever it is they need.
A nod. Huh. All right. Okay. He'll just nod to himself. Did you ever learn how to dance at some point?
Dance, Raya.
Yeah.
Yes, Raya.
You have? We kind of raise a surprised eyebrow.
And she's already sat down, so she kind of pulls herself up a little bit. She can never be as full of herself as Aiden, but she does puff out her chest a bit. Raya, I was trained extensively in all manner of song, dance, and instrument for the sake of the spirits. Different spirits prefer different forms of chiminage.
All right, show me. River dance for me.
She tilts her head a bit. And she'll take a moment. Because it takes a moment. And slowly work her way up to Hamid. And she will briefly speak in spirit speech, warning the rabbits that perhaps being right around her feet for the moment isn't the best idea. And moves to a clearer portion where there's not quite as much of the tall grass. And let's see how she do. It's not her particular form of performance, but she can still roll it, gosh darn it. And actually, yeah, you know what? I don't give a fuck. She's proven a point. I'm spending willpower.
Oh, shit.
Oh, helps if I put a space in there. Oh, that's 2 successes.
Not too bad.
It's not a bunch of flourishes and crazy shit, but it's definitely solid.
You know, Serge the Mighty Lion, known as Aiden. So that's actually 5 with his specialty. His specialty is Irish dancer. So that's 5.
How much do you have it up to?
I have it up to 2.
It still would be div 6.
Yeah. So
unless you have something crazy going on.
No. With the 10, isn't it?
Oh, that's true. Well, no, because the 10 doesn't explode. Like, basically, it's narrowing down what you can do. But once you get up to like 4 of them, when you would normally get a specialty, then your 10s explode.
All right, yeah, then it's just 4.
That's the weird thing about those.
Then it's 4. So it's still pretty damn impressive.
Still better than hers.
Mm-hmm. So he'll literally like leap into the air, this mad sort of yelp. You know, it's almost as if he's listening to his own version of the music, which 10 Point could probably clearly hear through the pack link. You know, and he will kick his feet into the air. He doesn't keep his hands still at all. His arms flail out wildly, and he'll just dance along beside her. It's quite energetic, actually.
She will get caught grinning because, let's face it, Aiden's had a lot to be annoyed at lately. It's nice to see him just fucking enjoying life.
And he like kick his feet together, you know, here tap 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 tap, and he'll look over at her. See? It's all on the feet.
She grins and lowers her head for a second, that like hide a smile duck of the head. Clearly it is, Raya.
We used to, all the Hamid people used to learn it when we were little. So I learned how to dance. Kind of grin bashfully.
I was not allowed to practice with the others, but I have the basics.
Smile awkwardly. This wasn't in a sept. This was in an actual Hamid school.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't born on a sept. Smile awkwardly.
She kind of shakes her head for a second and looks thoroughly embarrassed, actually, to have just made that slip because she knows better, but just didn't think about it. Kind of like picks the hand up to rub at her cheek, like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
He'll smile awkwardly. Most people forget that I was Hamid born.
It is not that I forget your origins, Raya. It is that in the good times, and with something as closely bound as the pack link, it is easy to forget we are so different.
Walk over and give her a ruffle of her hair, you know, shook, you know.
And again, the kind of bashful grin comes back.
You smile at her. So, 10 Point.
Kind of perks up a bit.
Why don't we, for the next time we're on Rendina, actually do a full... Well, as much as we're playing music, why don't we get the kinfolk to join in a full dance, honouring her?
Of course, Raya.
Making the whole thing a proper festival. He'll smile at her kind of oddly.
And she grins, nodding along. It'll be a while yet. We have time to plan it.
You're not. Just thinking, that's all. After all, it's something keeping me productive. You know, he'll kind of grin at her a bit.
And again, she nods along, taking up a bit of a thoughtful expression on the matter.
You know, like he'd actually sit down and like look at the rabbit spirits, look out at her, and look around. Do you know, everyone's all doomy and gloomy. You know, I am a bit too, but I can't be for much longer. Do you know?
It's easy to forget the good and so much is bad, but balance keeps us sane. And she'll fold down as well. Again, speaking briefly in spirit speech, so that the rabbits are more inclined to come and poke around them. They've done chiminage to them before. And I mean, the rabbits are of Stag's brood, so they'll probably bounce around them, settle into at least one per lap, or like sniffling at his pockets, nibbling on his shirt.
Look over at her. It's peaceful here.
It is, Ryan. That's why I prefer this side.
Huh. Just makes me miss home that much more, actually.
And she nods, understanding to that in particular. It was nicer back home, wilder back home.
Yeah, definitely. In the Tellurian side, sure, it was just nothing but fields. A smile. I forget that as much as we're warriors, we also love nature and the trees. And smile to himself.
And she'll glance back before she does it and ease down so that she doesn't mush anyone who happens to be hopping behind her, but will eventually just kind of flop back in the grass. Again, it is easy to forget, Raya, but we're as much spirit as we are flesh.
So when did you start doing your hopping thing around the place? We look back grinning at her.
She turns many shades of red. So yeah, ears burning. She'll be like, "Oh, what a nice rabbit spirit. I'll look at that instead." But we'll answer. I have always, Raya.
I see.
Just not usually with witnesses.
You've seen Bambi, yeah?
Yes, Raya. Many times.
Grin at her warmly. Right. So do you have the gift then that I have?
Not yet, Raya.
You should get it. I think it'd be hilarious.
Oh, I intend to. But in light of the various things we've encountered of late, I set my my contract, my latest one at least, to a different purpose. It'll be a lot harder for something to keep a hold of me now.
You smile at her. I mean, I got a new one.
Oh?
I can sense where people are.
Ah, the pulse.
Oh, aye, it's a thrill. Smile at her warmly.
I suppose that would be the end of my days using the Umbra to get away. She kind of grins as she says it. It's teasing.
You smile at her warmly. Well, we're going to need it. Besides, now I can track that guy who went missing. And I can track who I need to track.
Certainly easier and potentially more accurate than the questing stone. Useful though the rite is.
I'm telling you, it's a rush down point. It'll actually lie down, like, you know, gently pushing bunny spirits out of the way. Like, excuse me. And then,
Yep.
you know, Pop
they'll
himself
hippity
down.
hop, and then probably at least one will circle back around, start chewing on the hem of his shirt again, because bunnies have a knack for being incredibly destructive when they set their mind to it. There's probably at least two doing the same to her clothes. She doesn't seem to notice. But then again, seeing as her clothing is for the most part layers of cast-offs and old worn things, it doesn't really seem to change the overall quality of her look.
It's a rush because you can feel it in your head, like her heartbeat.
Her eyebrows prick upwards.
You know, you can hear he'll even walk over and like tap her head and go da-dump, da-dump, da-dump on her forehead. You know, with his fingers.
She'll grin a bit. It's probably the gentlest poking or tapping she's gotten from Aiden ever, so...
He'll kind of look around. Do you know, 10 Point? I really don't like the Fianna Castle, I'm going to be honest. I smile at her kind of oddly.
There are many things about the Septria that I dislike. But here we are, and here we serve.
Oh, I know, it's you know, it's fine, but why don't we get something a bit more practical? That's all I'm asking.
One eyebrow makes a slow ascent.
I mean, we live in the city, right?
Of course, right?
You know? So, rather than plottering around in a castle, now the castle's grand, we keep it there, we work it. Why don't we get something a bit more practical in the city? That's Fianna territory. Do you know?
And she rolls the thought around in her head. It would be a practical way of keeping a better eye on the holdings of the Sept. Our territory does extend far beyond the Bond, after all.
See? You just smile at her warmly. Why don't we open up a pub? And he'll put inverted commas with his fingers.
And she kind of looks at a loss, briefly. But with what money, Raya? I know nothing of...
And we have kinfolk who can handle it, and what we do is we use it as a base. The pub is for the upstairs. Downstairs, we have our own areas. Think about it. There's only limited space in the castle.
And much of it is toured by humans during the day.
Precisely. If we get somewhere, we can have our own base of operations.
I hope your kin are well off then, Raya. I've given to understand that property in this city is not by any means cheap.
That's why we find kinfolk who have it. And we suggest the idea maybe to some of the older people of the Sept, of our tribe. Perhaps the entire lot of us come together.
Their eyebrows pop again thoughtfully. Well, there was the one bar, the one pub that I went to with the kin on my unfortunate outing, and while it is no longer owned by kin, one of the girls that worked there, I believe her family once owned it. She may know who still is in the business.
Why don't you get her to come over to the cabin?
Sorry, why don't you what?
Get her to come over to the cabin. Invite her over for tea. We'll discuss business. He'll grin at her, like really playfully.
And she casts a glance, like, you know, if there wasn't tall grass surrounding them where they were stretched out, you can imagine she'd be able to see some of the taller city buildings. I would need to deal with my antlers, Raya, and probably take another as a guide to find it again. I do not navigate the city well.
Why don't we take Saoirse with us? Fianna only. He'll smile at her.
And actually, you and Dallas went there of your own accord. Perhaps you'll remember where it is.
Oh, we could take Dallas, couldn't we?
Of course.
It's like Muse.
We haven't spent time with her in a while, Raya. We should.
No. I'm not saying we shouldn't. He'll smile at her warmly. Missed Alex, actually. No doubt she's probably ranting and raving and stuff. Is she alright? We like look at her kind of seriously.
She's forced to give a bit of a shrug. I still share shifts looking over the museum, Raya, but we rarely speak much. I miss it. I would rather she throw me against the tree again than stay silent.
Do you think it has something to do with her brother?
It seems like it's very unlikely that it would be anything else.
Maybe we should have a talk with her. Maybe we should figure out a way, because obviously her brother is quite the capable fighter. Maybe we should figure out a way so she can get her one up on him.
The best way to take the advantage in a challenge is to provoke the other party to make it, and I don't think you will.
No. Maybe we need to actually talk to her about the history of this thing.
I could try, Raya, if you wished. If Von Everett's pack is still here, to learn more about him, to perhaps find a weakness or a tender point.
I might talk to my wife actually about it. But I want to talk to Dallas too. We need to talk to her. After all, she's going to be joining us eventually.
Sooner or later, Raya.
Yeah, when we get Banshee on side.
Perhaps we should speak to Banshee. She was gone for much of Dallas's highest performance.
Not.
It seems a shame to think that someone as capable as Hunter's Mane would be judged instead by one or two missteps rather than numerous strides in the right direction.
Not. No. It'd work. She's been one of our strongest allies, so no sense in burning that.
There's a terse nod of agreement. I know that
Anyone
she's
else
waiting,
thinking
much
we
as I
should
am.
make sure? Well, you just nod for her to continue.
Oh, I know that she's waiting, much as I am, Raya. We each are waiting for the right moment to give a challenge, albeit our conditions are different.
What can I muse and rub his chin?
She will not feel worthy of fostering until she is in a pack. I will not be worthy of fostering until all of my Rayas are fostered.
You kind of like flop, like dramatically on the ground, on the thing. Why can't this just be easy? You smile. I'm not saying it in like a frustrated tone. You just smile.
If it was easier, Raya, it would not be any fun.
Yeah, you have a point. We'll have a talk with her. We'll have a talk with Banshee, and we'll get her in. Because we need a room, he'll say very firmly.
There's a definite echo of that firm nod.
Well then, Madame 10 Point as he literally flips up onto his feet. Do you want to get a beer?
Then And there's that half-second pause because this is not customary, but it's certainly not bad. And she'll give again, the little nod, kind of a surprised nod, and go ahead and start heaving herself up.
How tall is 10 Point again?
I had never set a number to it. She's fairly tall for a woman, but I mean, hold on.
Aiden's 6'4".
He's probably still taller than her. I doubt she's over 6 feet. That's outrageous. I mean, I'll let you help me hazard a guess based on this nonsense here. Actually, I guess she's not that tall.
She looks about like 5'8", 5'6".
Yeah, something like that. I'll give her 5'8" since I'm 5'6". I'll give her a couple inches on me.
All right. So Aiden will look at her and smile, and we'll look down at the rabbit spirits and kind of make us bounding step, and he will come up behind 10 Point, hoist her onto his shoulders, and will leap into the air.
She will probably distract herself, at least briefly, by offering her thanks and a farewell to the spirits, and as such, will make a very disgraceful sound as she is scooped off the ground. As, let's be honest, even if she'd seen him coming at her, that is not what she would have expected. And, yeah, by the time he decides to launch with her on his shoulders, there will be another equally disgraceful, if potentially much louder, sound of kind of alarm. And yeah, he'll get kind of death gripped in the process. That is that's definitely one way to go get a beer.
Here we go. The front flip begins.
Oh Jesus!
And we fall to the ground hilariously. It's the antlers, man. They fuck up his trajectory.
It's maybe the fact that if you put her on your shoulders instead of your back, it's going to completely fuck your balance.
Yep. Literally midair, he realizes this. So start to flail, like about 20 feet in the air, dramatically. He's like,
Yep. She's gonna hit the dirt with a yelp.
So
much grass splattered, so many rabbit spirits bounding in every direction except from under them.
Yeah, Jesus, 10 Point, your hunters fuck up my trajectory. Oh. He groans.
It might have helped Raya if I had known what was about to happen and considered things like balance.
Let's get that beer then. He kind of gets up, and just cracks his back, and is just lumbering off to go jump into the DeLorean. Yeah,
she'll definitely give him some room so he doesn't get it in his head to attempt to repeat that process. And just kind of nods along, doing the same thing, kind of cricking herself a couple times, make sure she's all in one piece, and we'll go ahead and stumble out of the grass and produce a mirror for them. And I suppose that is a good place to call it.
Yeah.
So thank you, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. We'll see you next time on The Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.